Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative. Speaking to Case Walker about the other two, season 2 of the show is going to be dropping on HBO Max August 26th. Thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to the show, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's as it hit you. I mean, it's weird, right? Because you do season 1, it drops, and you find out eventually that HBO Max it's going to be season 2, and it's like it's pretty near. Like the time is nigh for the drop. Has it hit you yet?
Yeah, man, I've been ready for it for a while because of COVID, but we're all like, it's all like, oh my goodness, it's actually here. It was kind of like, is there light at the end of the tunnel? And yes, there is. August 26th, it's coming out, so it's exciting.
An amazing concept for a show about siblings. Obviously, becoming this big famous star, and then your older siblings and everything. I mean, a concept that I'm sure is around a lot in our world, but maybe not on screen, right? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's very like fresh with like TV. Like you really get an insight into like the lives of like these characters and kind of what fame looks like from a very comedic perspective, but also a grounded perspective. And it's definitely new out there. There's nothing out there like it right now.
What was the mindset when a project like this kind of came out, where like, you had your TikTok videos, and it's kind of a funny situation because it's basically kind of based on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Where what was that? Because that's a pretty unique situation, I feel like, for Case Walker, where you did like the TikTok stuff, and it's kind of based on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I definitely I had a little bit of the chase dreams thing early on in my career, where I built a big following on social media and used it to start my acting career. And then when we got the show, first of all, the character's name is Chase and I'm Case. And then Chase was like this kid who made videos online and blew up. And I'm like, hey, I'm that kid too. This is awesome. So it's pretty cool to see the parallel. Yeah.
Complex characters. It's just a really funny show. Is it safe to say, if like you were kind of doing like an elevator pitch of like the other two, that like it's just a really funny show? It's got some heart too, but it's really funny.
Yeah, it's jokes every second. You got to be on or not on. You got to be ready for him to come at you every minute.
Did you notice that when you're reading the scripts, like how quick it was?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like slowly learned more about SNL and like that kind of comedy as I kind of joined this group and met the writers of the show. Yep. And then as over the past 4 years, now I see it a lot more. I'll be in the script and be like, oh, that and this and that and that, and you start to see all the jokes. But in the beginning, I had to adjust to it at first. I was like, man, they're dropping jokes every second. Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely. You're doing the acting thing. You've done the social media thing. I also wanted to talk about something that I think is really pretty cool. You're a competitive rock climber. You're a climber.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Is it cool sometimes to be able to do interviews like this where everyone may be asking you about your shows and everything, but you're able to talk about that? Because obviously, like, you rock climb. Like, I have a lot of hobbies that I don't really like when I'm on the show. Like, we're talking about like pop culture and everything, but it's pretty cool that you're able to sneak that in a little bit.
It's fun because I'm like in my on season where I'm filming and I'm in New York and it's like the flashing lights, everything going on. And then I go home and I go in the middle of a boulder field and with chalk on my hands and just climb on a rock for 5 hours and get to talk about that. It's totally different than like filming, which is awesome.
Was it cool to see? I mean, you're busy and everything, but was it cool to see rock climbing in the Olympics? Was that cool for you?
Yeah, that was awesome. Like there was a lot of controversy over how they formatted it, but the fact that it was in the Olympics was like fantastic. And I actually, one of like old buddy who competed, his name is Colin Duffy. He was one of our Olympians, and it was cool to be like, oh, like I've competed with this kid, and now he's an Olympian, and like that's so cool because climbing is such a tight knit community. So it was really awesome.
It's pretty cool. Like obviously Chase doesn't rock climb in the other two, but your Case Walker, you rock climb HBO Max season 2. Yep. I find it funny too. Betty, which is a show on HBO that I love about skateboarding. Skateboarding was new in the Olympics as well.
Yep.
It was like.
Yep. Yeah, it was sick.
I loved watching the skateboarding. It was really cool.
Yeah, skateboarding was awesome. I feel like that was like super necessary. Like that needed to be in the Olympics this year.
Oh, absolutely. What were some learning experiences for you working on the show, and what was the mindset like season 1 and season 2? Obviously, season 1, you were a lot younger and everything, but what was the mindset going in filming kind of season 2 compared to season 1?
Season 2, between season 1 and season 2, there was a lot of growth, but season 2 itself, spanned over about a year and a half between COVID and stuff. So there was a lot of growing that went down. But when I first approached season 2, I just knew Chase was going to grow up just like everyone does.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see if Chase was going to keep this genuine, fun kid personality, if he was going to be young, if he was going to turn into more of a douchebag, or if he was going to still be this fun scene.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of questions. So for me, I just had to be prepared to answer those questions. You know what I mean? Like, okay, who is he going to become? And what are the writers going to choose? What are Chris and Sarah going to choose to write too? So overall, it was just kind of like I knew Chase was going to have a lot of growth, and I was prepared for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, especially like when we meet you. It is a pretty cool thing. We're like, especially like the first couple episodes of like season 1. Chase is like pretty innocent and pretty cool. Like he's not like, I mean, he's still new to everything, but I don't know if someone's asked you this before, but I mean, obviously, you know, it's slapstick. There's a lot of goofiness, but like, are there some kind of like things in the show that, because you did the TikTok thing and everything, are there some things in it that you're like, yeah, it's kind of like this a little bit? Like, is that happening?
First season, we did 2 writers' rooms with me. I joined the writer rooms and would just tell them stories for 2 hours. And there was a lot of spin-offs and a lot of the episodes of those stories that I told them in the social media world. It was weird because I was like, this is satire and this is a joke, but this also has happened in real life. Like, it was like, guys, this is funny because it sounds so extreme, but it actually happens in LA, man. Everything happens in LA. It's crazy.
Did you notice? Because I was like really into, my background's in communications, but I was really into social media and I worked in social media for a while too. I've noticed like a trend where social media was like the big thing, like social media producer, social media, right? But then it became a thing where it's a lot more than that. Like I think when people realize these TikTok stars, right? I mean, a lot of them, like the big ones, have a team and everything, but when they don't have a team, it's them like making the videos. It's them editing, right? Like,
Yep. It's like you start out I mean, I made about 1,500, in between like 1,500 and 2,000 videos on social media and mainly TikTok, which used to be Musically. And that was all me, like organically growing. The biggest thing for me was the live streams. That's what made like the fan and the organic following click originally.
Yeah.
And so that's really what stuck, is when they got to see you live and you got to communicate. So yeah, it was a lot of work though, doing it on your own.
But it's not just social media. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not. You're not just like you can't just be like like what do you do? Oh, I tweet. You can't just tweet or like post on Insta. You have to be able to do more, I find.
Yeah, well, it's like you're putting your creativity, like that's your outlet for it, but it's not. That's not, the outlet isn't what it is. It's what's behind that.
Oh, absolutely. Like I just talked to like a band who's on TikTok who's like viral, like a million. Like they just had like 3 million. They got like viral, and like it's all them. Like it literally is like they don't like, obviously they have a manager and everything, but for their TikTok, it's like just them doing it, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot, and sometimes that's fun. The hardest part is like when you go in with that original organic creativity, sometimes that can start to be manipulated by the algorithm and the views and stuff.
Yeah.
And you just have to stick to who you are. You got to stick to what you're doing, because sometimes it does good, sometimes it doesn't. And that can be the crazy up and down of it. But overall, it's just a great outlet to put your stuff out there.
The flows I find are interesting. I'm not familiar with the TikTok flows, but especially on Instagram, even like people that have a lot of followers, there's definitely flows where like some weeks it seems like the algorithm is helping you a lot more than other weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the key is like, it's so much fun to get likes, right? But if you ride that high every time, you're also going to ride the lows.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
The key is like posting and creating and doing your thing, and then doing your best to not pay attention to that. Because there's going to be weeks, it's like looking at the big picture, you know what I mean? Versus every day. Because especially as a 14-year-old kid, when I got so into it, I would ride the highs and lows so extreme. So every day I was just up and down, and it started affecting everything else I was doing. And I was like, hold up, dude, go back to what you were doing. Like, go back to this creativity. Like that, you know, if you're growing as a person, you don't have to stick to what Instagram's telling you to do.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a balance. There's a balance for sure.
I can relate, because it's so awkward when I say this, because like people think it's not true, but like my dog is a Instagram influencer. My dog has 155,000 followers on Instagram.
Yep, there you go. Yep.
So I know all about that and everything. And it's crazy.
You're like, why this picture is so much better than this one? Why did this not get likes? And like, you can ask those questions every single day, but it's just a crazy.
Have you noticed though, especially with your show now on HBO Max, have you noticed though that there has to be kind of like a balance in terms of like, not only what you post, like you might post some stuff about the show, it's season 2 on HBO Max, but like the when you post, like I feel like people are very like, they want content all the time. Like if you don't post a lot, you might go down in followers. That's a thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. I dropped it. I had to make the decision to be like, I'm either gonna be full in and worry about posting every day, and then I was like, or I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna post random stuff. I don't care what time, just have fun. Post what I actually want to post. And like be okay with that and focus on acting really hard. It was one or the other. And
Yeah.
my quality of life, since I've kind of just dropped that like everyday pressure, has just it's been really good for me. Some people it works for, like it works for a lot of people. It worked for me for a little bit, and then I just kind of had to get out of that routine.
Well, you're growing naturally too as like a storyteller and like
Yep.
because that's what it's interesting too, because you're acting but you content produce and everything that can be all summed up like like Case Walker's a storyteller.
Yep. Entertainer, storyteller.
Yeah, like that's what you're doing, and I think you naturally just kind of grow. Like I remember too, like I was really into Twitter for a while, and then I just kind of like,
and you're like, I don't need Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter guy anymore. Exactly. And sometimes you'll be like, so do I have to stick to it now or do I not? Like I'm growing as a person, but do I have to stick with this? And man, it's good when you figure it out, but it can be a little crazy sometimes.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Getting back to your show though, it's going to drop. Season 2 is going to drop on HBO Max the 26th. When people watch the other two on HBO Max, the obvious answer to this question is like kind of what we talked about in the beginning. You hope they enjoy it. They like the slapstick. It's jokes all the time. It's quick. Diving deep into it a little bit more, what are you hoping they get out of it, takeaway wise, when they watch it?
Takeaway when people watch it, I hope people see how real all these characters are. Like I hope people see all this fame and like all this craziness and how it just comes back to like they're just people messing up and trying to figure it out, right? It kind of like Drew's been using this term, but like we kind of humanize these characters. So like these celebrities like Chase Dreams, and even in real life, like these celebrities we see, you just see like, oh, everyone's just a human too, trying to figure it out. We're all like that's what you see in the show, and that's the comedy of it too, is you're like, oh, it rounds back to family, because in the end they like, even in season 1 they all go back to, oh, we have a family still, regardless of what show we're on or what project we're doing or how successful we are. They go back to this family thing, and I think there's like a hidden powerful message among all this comedy of like this grounded family, regardless of what's going on. Like they still always got their family.
But it's interesting too, because it's like it's a show about like TikTok, but it's like not really about TikTok, right? It's about way more than that, about a family and everything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which is interesting. It's the same thing with all like the sports shows out there right now.
Yeah.
Like they're not really like about, like they're about sports, but it's about way more than that. I think there's a common ground of it's all about growing and family and everything, which is awesome.
There is like a hidden thing. Yeah. It's like there's all the flashing lights and fun stuff. And then you go, wait, Chase is just a kid and they're just two, like I don't know, it's just a family with a mom and a son trying to figure it out and behind all the fame. And that's always, you kind of see that throughout the season. It's fun to get little dabbles of that. So
100%. Case, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really enjoyed chatting with you, man.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
So August 26th on HBO Max, season 2 of your show is going to be dropping, and people, we might not be as active as we used to be, but people can still follow you right on social media, Instagram.
Oh yeah, you guys can get an insight into climbing and what's going on. I post some behind the scenes, so yeah, I'm always out there, always on social.
Case Walker, is that what the handle is?
Case Walker. Yep, everywhere.
Amazing. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Be sure to catch Case Walker as Chase Dreams in the other 2, season 2, dropping HBO Max August 26th. Until next time, it's this Case and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.